Namaste. Welcome to Sustainable Narratives 2022, hosted live between September the 15th to the 18th.
Namaste and welcome to the Vichaar Manthan Sustainable Narratives podcast. Very excited to be introducing this brand new conference to you all. I have with me on the line Abhilasha Kakar, who is the conference coordinator for this year's Sustainable Narratives conference. Abhilasha, welcome to the podcast.
Namaste, Sumitji. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a great idea that we have today to introduce this conference to all of our listeners, to all of our viewership online, those that have been following Vichaar Manthan across the last 10 years. We did a conference a few years ago on this very theme, sustainable narrative. So I guess the first question to ask you really is, what is sustainable narratives?
Yeah, great place to start. Like you said, we had our very first conference 2 years ago, Sustainable Narratives. It's a conference hosted by Vichaar Manthan, where we bring together some of the leading lights in their field. So whether that's policymakers, academics, industry leaders, authors, and we get them together on one platform to discuss some of the most pertinent, some of the most important things that affect society today.
And so what are some of those important things? Like, how do we decide, how do we figure out what society needs? Are there verticals? Have we got some themes running across this conference?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year we've got 7 themes that are going to be across 4 days. So those 7 themes are wealth, governance, political theory, political economy, civics, culture, and religion. So that's 7 themes that we think are the most important themes that hopefully encompass most of the issues in society, most of what's going on in our world today.
And so these verticals, they're sort of talking about the prevailing narratives of our times, right? And I think the key term that we've picked up on here at Vichar Manthan, and I think across the world at the moment, is the term sustainability. So what is it that we're trying to get out of these themes, out of these panel discussions and firesides? Why is sustainability so important?
So I'm not going to go into too much about what sustainability is, because I know in episode 1 you guys talked about dharma, which we used interchangeably with sustainability at Vichar Manthan. But I suppose in terms of these narratives, the reason why sustainability is so important, we're not just environmentalists, right? We're talking about sustainability in terms of these ideas. Will these ideas, will these narratives stand the test of time, right? Will the way that our governance systems run still be relevant in 50, 100 years' time? Will they help society flourish? That's what we're asking.
And it's that cohesive environment, it's the plural nature of society that will benefit us all. And I think the term sustainable is actually something that will outlive us, perhaps, in our generation, in our lifetime. The things we're talking about, the policies that come into place, the way our education system is built, how we govern things like wealth, they're not just, 50, 100 years, that we're talking about a lot more time, and it's going to affect generations to come. So something that's sustainable is what outlives us and is better for society at large. Let's get into some of the topics. What kind of things are we going to be talking about, or will our chairs and speakers be referencing at this conference in September?
Yeah, so this year we have over 20 conversations happening across 4 days, right? We've got over 30 speakers this year coming on the platform. Some of those conversations are things like sustainable wealth creation, the role of the family unit. We've talked about education. What is its purpose? Is its purpose still relevant? Do we need to rethink this? We're going to be talking about our governance systems. We're talking about scripture. So, the things like the Gita, can we view it as scripture, or should it be viewed as literature? Can it be critiqued? Right? We're going to be discussing identity, which is a huge topic in society at the minute. We're going to be talking about within religion, the role of women within religion, the future of the church. I could go on and on. There's many different topics. If you have a look at our website, all of these themes, all of these topics are there.
For anyone that doesn't know, that's vichaarmanthan.org, or you can just type Vichaar Manthan into YouTube, Spotify, all the platforms really. And during the preparation, I've been speaking to a number of chairs prepping for the podcast. Just recently, we were talking about carbon tax and what decarbonization looks like for the world. I know we're going to be talking about the family unit and the relevance of that in society. And so, where can our listeners get this conference? Do they just log on to YouTube? Do they look at our website? How does one get onto the Sustainable Narratives conference this year?
Yeah, so like you said, for more information, it is our website. But in order to access the conversation, in order to attend the conference, we have 3 virtual days, and those are exclusively on a platform called AirMeet. So that means that this year you have to register, otherwise you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on live conversations with the speakers, asking Q&As. You're going to miss out on networking opportunities with both the speakers and the chairs. And also this year, we were grateful to be supported by ECF, which is Earth Charitable Foundation. Now, again, I'll let you search this organization. It's a fantastic organization that funds some great initiatives. But they will have a booth on AirMeet. So you'll get to speak to those ECF members if you want to donate, if you want to find out more about what they do. That's all only accessible exclusively if you register on AirMeet.
Cool. So great call to action there for everyone. If you've not registered yet, go to vichaarmanthan.org, have a look at the Sustainable Narratives Conference, and make sure you register. And I think Abhilasha G has just discussed there that there are virtual events, there's an in-person event, there's a keynote address that is taking place in central London live, where there will be networking opportunities as well. But for our listeners and our viewers all across the world, there are networking opportunities online on the platform where you can discuss, ask questions. There'll be polls, there'll be interactivity, and a number of different panel discussions and fireside conversations. And I just want to go into a bit of detail about the term Vichaar Manthan for those that don't know. Vichar is the concept of ideas and thoughts, and the Manthan is the churning of those. And so really what we're doing with this conference and what Vichaar Manthan attempts to do as a whole is bring together earnestly conversations with expert witnesses, with special matter expertise around these relevant topics, around things like religion or political economy. How do we govern ourselves? How is wealth structures built? There's so many different ways of thinking now. And if we really bring them together to churn them, to see what narratives, what ideas can stand the test of time, what ideas can actually be sustainable for generations to come, for humanity, for society, to really bring out some of those conclusions and go forward from there. And as we've mentioned, there are panel discussions where we'll have a number of speakers being hosted by a chair. There are also fireside conversations taking place, a bit more relaxed one-on-one, and then also exclusively podcast being wrapped around all of the conference, where we're speaking to chairs, speaking to some of the firesides in more detail. Abhilasha Ji, is there a specific call to action you have for our listeners and our viewers at home?
I think you mentioned it about please do register. I think a lot of people in the UK know about Vichaar Manthan, but this conference has been, we've already had so many registrations from around the world. Our speakers are going to be global, international. It's just that Sunday where we're going to be in person in central London, like you said. So please do get your tickets for the virtual event, but also that Sunday, if you are based in the UK, it would be lovely to see you there.
Brilliant. And like we said, there are breakout booths. There will be an opportunity to speak to the Earth Charitable Foundation, who have very graciously helped us put this event together, and the entire Vichaar Manthan team, who are volunteers, young working professionals who are able to give up their time to this noble cause to discuss in ideas that matter. So really imploring you, everyone at home, to tune in, to register. Have a look at the website, see what's your favorite panel discussion, or which fireside you're going to tune into most, or which podcast episode you are going to be referencing, saving, and sharing with all your friends and family across the globe. Thank you very much, Abhilasha ji, for helping us understand what Vichaar Manthan is. I look forward to seeing everyone in person. Let's have more conversations about things that matter. And I think it was Rabindranath Tagore that said, the man who plants a seed that will never sit in its shadow has at least begun to understand the meaning of life. So these conversations are ever prevalent. They are what are going to be the narratives for future generations to come. And hopefully we can set a new standard of intellectual discussion and debate and the real churning of ideas that matter. Thank you, Abhilasha ji, for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste, and thank you to all of our listeners at home for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you all at Vichaar Manthan's Sustainable Narratives Conference 2022. Namaste.